And so, as you were saying that, I was wondering when you give recommendations and their lifestyle changes, how does that go over? Like, how do you feel like what are you communicating and how? I want to ask, like, what kind of resistance do you hit without saying that directly? But it's just kind of like, do you feel like you're able to explain it or talk about it in a way that leads to change, or do you still hit resistance just because it's a lifestyle change?
Yeah, I think, this is where I think like my coaching lane has overlapped with my Ayurvedic health counseling lane, where behavioral change in people is hard because, again, we have constructed our lives in a way that we think works for us, or we wouldn't
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
done those things or in that way or at that time. Um, and the way I frame it for people is most change, no matter if big or small, actually does require a little tweak to our identity. And when I see behavioral changes as potential identity changes, one, it makes me hold the greatness of what I'm requesting or recommending for myself to do or someone else to do. Two, it activates deep empathy of like, it is hard to change who you are. You're drinking a gallon of coffee every single morning, and that has become a part of your identity. And so
Mm.
when I am asking for you to just test out and try out taking that gallon to half a gallon, I am inherently asking you to become someone different.
Mm.
And that is big. And it sounds like no brainer. Like, and of course, I'm exaggerating with the gallon, but
Mhm.
some people are out
Mhm.
in these streets really drinking a
Mhm.
lot of coffee first
Oh
thing in
yeah.
the morning, ice, caffeinated, right? Like, that's like a lot for most people's nervous systems. Um, and so, man, the empathy that that brings up of like, if that is
Mm.
wrapped up in who I am, let's go slow. And if I can model being gentle with you and you feel that you have like a gentle, dedicated cheerleader in your corner, that's going to make you feel like, but I can go from a gallon of coffee to half a gallon and then, take it from there. And it doesn't have to be as scary. Jessie seems to believe I can do this. And
Mm.
and if it's framed in that way of like this is going to feel like a little bit of an identity shift, and we can talk about it for a few minutes of how hard is this going to hit your identity, and you say the words, actually, I'm so committed to a new identity, it's okay that this part erodes. Cool, then every time you go reach for that coffee, you're going to have that in mind and be like, I'm going to dilute this, or I'm only going to go for the 2 cups instead of the 4 cups because I know this is an act of me shifting to a new identity that now I am creating of myself, not because I had my back up against the wall and I needed quick energy so I can work 16 hours for the day. Now I am intentionally becoming the person I was created to be, not the person I thought I had to become in order to survive the sick world.
That is so good. That is like so many things ran through my head when you said that because I caffeine, I learned very early on, makes me jittery. And so, like, nothing afternoon, like, not a Coke soda, like, nothing. Love the smell of coffee. As a nurse, there's always coffee in the nurse's station. So, when I
Mm.
started my career, I was drinking it, but then, like, I couldn't give an ejection because my head was
Because you're like
shaking. So,
shaking.
so coffee, caffeine just isn't something I could do. So, when I'm talking to somebody who drinks a gallon of coffee, and I'm just kind of like, but you're not digesting it well. Like you have like it's eroding your stomach at this point. Like what has to happen for your physical health to be more than the craving of the coffee? Or people who get up and it's the first thing that goes into their body. And I am curious about what is going on with the coffee, that
Yeah.
that is the first thing that goes into your body, and how can we talk you through a different way of doing that, but that it's an identity. I need to probe around with this you a little bit more because what I thought about is I had a client who was a smoker as a nurse, new nurse,
Mm.
smoker, and so it had gotten so bad that he had a tracheostomy. And so I couldn't find him one day. He was outside smoking through the tracheostomy. And I was just kind of like, it can't get any worse than that. Like he had cancer, that was the diagnosis. But it's like, and you still won't give up the cigarette. Like what is going other than just it being an addiction, but the identity, something about you saying identity made me think. And so who are you without it? Is that the crisis that happens?
Yeah, yeah, it is essentially an identity crisis. And for some things more severe, more weighty than others. But yeah, then it's who are you as a smoker, who are you not as a smoker, and what need, like
Mhm.
what part of you doesn't get honored or seen or heard or valued or feel like it belongs without a cigarette in your hand.
That, that was like, I wish I had known it then, because I just was incredulous. It's just kind of like, how bad does it have to be for you to stop this behavior that is just completely detrimental to your body? And there was no thing that was going to stop him from getting a cigarette. Nothing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, through the tracheotomy, that is like an extreme. Yeah, change is hard for a lot of people because besides the identity thing, we also don't know what's on the other side of that change. When you've been smoking for that
Mm.
long, I know,
Mhm.
I would imagine, I'm not a smoker myself,
Mhm.
but I would imagine I know what's on the other side of this next cigarette and the next cigarette and the next cigarette.
Mm.
But when you're even if it's like a gentle, loving invitation to change to something else, I don't know what's on the other side of that. Or I know that what's on the other side of that is some version of withdrawal, no matter how much I like pace myself and segment it to like reduce the withdrawal symptoms. And the discomfort of the withdrawal
Mhm.
is not worth the comfort of the next cigarette that comes in.
Mm. That is so good. And the person who I may be called to be, even if I'm not comfortable with who I am, I'm arguing with people, whatever the thing is. And so it's time to go to therapy or whatever the thing. I'll have to work harder to be that new version. This isn't working, but it's familiar and I know what to expect and it's comfortable. Now
Yes.
you're going to ask me to do something uncomfortable, and I don't know how much effort it will be to get there or to maintain that new me. And is it worth it?
Exactly. That's exactly it. The like, oh, so many things. The like, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
Because I've never juiced it this way, so I don't know how that juice is going to taste. Is it going to be worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
And yeah, at the end, like anything that feels familiar is going to provide comfort, even
Hmm.
if it is literally killing us.
Yes. Yes.
Anything familiar, because our brain, our nervous systems know how to exist in that. We have a
Yes.
roadmap, we've done it before. That's why like some people are like, oh, I thrive in chaos. But
Hmm.
it's because you have tools and you have familiarity with chaos, but your nervous system is not appreciating all the chaos
Yeah.
actually. But it's because you don't know who you are in peace.
Right. Right.
So
And what if
creating a
I'm
consistent
boring in
routine.
peace?
Yeah, and then it's even more. I mean, I have literally said that. I love me some variety in the day. And then my nervous system was like, girl, we're not doing that anymore.
Right.
And it
Right.
was too much variety in the day. I mean, my anxiety got so bad. I remember I live in New York City. I grew up in New York City. I went to school in New York City, pre-K through not pre-K, I didn't go to pre-K kindergarten to 12th grade, all educated in public New York City schools. I was riding New York City public transit at the age of 11 by myself to get to school on the bus.
Hmm.
And then halfway through 7th grade, so I would have been about 12 and a half-ish, I was already riding the subway. All that to say of I grew up in the intense, loud
Hmm. Hmm.
environment of New York City. I moved back home 10 years ago. And in the past, like when all my nervous system stuff started coming up, Kimberly, when I tell you I couldn't even go outside because hearing horns honking, like the car horns, like I would get so like jumpy, like, oh my gosh, something. And I know it was me, it was like my nervous system. I was like, oh man, I mean, I grew up in Flatbush. I remember my mom used to have us do like drive-by drills for how fast we would drop to
Mm.
the floor to make
Wow.
sure that like a stray bullet wouldn't get to us because we used to live in the back of the building. Then we moved to the front, and when we went to the front, then our window was facing the street. So my body was used to chaos, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
But everything has a limit, everything has a threshold. Our bodies are not designed to be in survival mode 24/7 our entire lives.
Mm.
Our bodies need peace, our bodies need rest.
When you were describing New York, I'm from Delaware, born and raised, well, born in Rochester, New York, but raised in Delaware. And but my dad's from New York. And so when I went to grad school, I really wanted to, be a New Yorker and ride the subway and do all the things, and live with his aunt, my great aunt, for a year. And then I was like, what? There's no off. There's never any off. The minute you step outside of your door, it's on. You're in it. I was working, riding the subway back and forth to work, and like rush hour, you're like this with total strangers
Sardines,
in the subway. And it's
sardines.
just kind of like, I didn't know until you just said it. Was like, oh, I can't, I don't know what this is, but I can't. And so I moved to Fort Lee, New Jersey, like right over the bridge, like walking distance, so that I could go back and forth to school. But it was just, I can't live in New York and be sad. I need some off. And
Yeah,
so I didn't think about that until you just said it. Yes, it is a different lifestyle. The city, because I'm in DC now, DC's a city, but it's not the same as the energy. To me, New York energy felt frenetic to my system.
yeah,
Um, but you do have to live at a different pace and um, move at a different pace and energetically function at a different pace to live in that environment 24/7. So when you said that, like that instantly made sense to me, but I wonder people who have never lived there, although I didn't live there long, it was just like, woo, this is a lot.
yeah. It's a lot coming in, and it's a lot, informative years when your brain is still literally forming. So
Mm.
like a lot. And so I think that's part of the reason why later in life, it was like in my late 30s when stuff started to really, really get dysregulated, besides the like pulling all-nighters in college and burning myself out at work. And then after the classroom, I thought I was going to stay in the classroom, but then got recruited and started working at an education nonprofit. And it was like, okay, now I can like scale my impact and I can help even more kids. And so it was like, I was still burning myself out there. Like, it was just never ending. So some of it was like societal for sure. And some of it was just once the programming hit, like I was not making the best choices for my own body because I wasn't tuned into my body. Because I knew if I tuned into my body, it was going to tell me to slow down. And I felt like I couldn't afford to.
Yeah. Wow, this is so good. Jesse, we have to talk again. An hour has flown by. We're gonna have to talk again. I want to talk about your book. Um, so yeah, let's figure out, give me links for everything, and
Yeah.
then we'll just figure out when and what the conversation is. But you just have such a wealth of information and perspective that I really haven't heard from anybody else. So I'm glad that I've recorded it. I'm glad that we'll have it, somewhere where other people can see it because this has just been, whew, such a good conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. And yes, I can send you links. And Kimberly, I'm always going to be down to chat with you whenever you